On Friday night at 8:07 p.m., a pair of white wings sliced through the cool air above the glowing skyline. Angel glided down, alighting softly on the balcony of a bustling apartment, where laughter and low voices drifted out into the night. Stepping inside, he folded his wings and offered a quick smile. "Hope I'm not late." Sue Storm looked up from the table with a welcoming grin. "Game's already started, but we saved you a spot." He was the final arrival. Inside, some of the world's most renowned heroes were gathered around a green felt poker table, eyes locked on their cards. Angel nodded politely toward Reed Richards. "Greetings from Professor Xavier." Reed returned the nod, shuffling his chips. Across the table, Dr. Strange eyed his hand with the same intensity he reserved for arcane grimoires. "Ace high with the queen," he declared, confident. The declaration was followed by a pause. Then Johnny Storm burst into laughter. "That's your 12th loss tonight, Doc. 3 of a kind beats ace high. So does almost everything else, except maybe a king." Black Cat chuckled as she pulled in her winnings. "Did they not teach poker in medical school?" Spider-Man leaned back in his chair. "Maybe we should switch to tarot cards for the Sorcerer Supreme." Reed gave the group a patient look. "Go easy on him. He's still new to the game." Black Cat's eyes shifted to Johnny. "At least I don't fold a strong hand. You wear every thought on your face. Makes you way too easy to read." Johnny's eyes flared, a spark of flame licking at his hairline as he leaned forward. "Try reading this, pussy cat." "Settle down, hothead," Spidey cut in, raising a hand. Every year, this odd circle gathered for a friendly charity poker night. The buy-in was a modest $20, the winner choosing which charity would benefit. But every player had a distinct style. Black Cat played like a thief, patient, opportunistic, sometimes bluffing just for the thrill. Johnny Storm treated the game as he did life, only serious when it amused him. The thing bulldozed through hands, effective but far from subtle. Angel played calmly and kept a steady poker face, until Felicia Hardy's smile threw him off balance. Dr. Strange, master of the mystic arts, was hopeless with the math and rhythm of poker. Spider-Man had the advantage of a mask to hide his tells, plus his spider sense often nudged him when someone bluffed. That same spider sense had been twitching for the last few minutes. A sudden knock at the door brought the table to a halt. Sue rose. "Maybe we're missing a player." She opened the door and the room froze. Standing there, broad-shouldered and imposing, was Wilson Fisk, the kingpin flanked by a single bodyguard. "Good evening," he said smoothly. Johnny reacted at once, flames dancing along his arms. "What are you doing here?" Fisk raised one hand in a show of calm. "I'm counting on your sense of fair play. I ask only for a few moments. If you don't like what I propose, I'll leave quietly." He admitted, with some pride, that it had taken heavy bribes just to learn the secret location of their annual game. His expression hardened. "I don't care for any of you. And this little charity night? Laughable. $20 stakes wouldn't buy a round at a real table." Yet despite his disdain, he had come with an offer. At his gesture, the bodyguard stepped forward and snapped open a suitcase. Bundles of crisp cash filled the case. Spider-Man tilted his head. "You're kidding, right?" Fisk's tone was dry. I assume I have your attention." His offer was simple. Raise the stakes. He would put $50,000 in front of each player and turn the night into a true high-stakes showdown, winner-take-all. "If one of you wins," he said, "donate it to whatever tiny charity you like. If I win, I'll buy a boat, christen it Hero's Folly, and with what's left I'll enjoy a fine, illegally imported Cuban cigar." Reed Richards leaned forward, studying him. "Why go to all this trouble just to sit at our table?" Fisk's eyes glinted. "Because I intend to win, and when I do, you'll sit there and watch as I take not just your money, but your pride. That's the sweetest reward." Around the table, murmurs rose. Spider-Man shrugged. "He's telling the truth. My spider sense isn't picking up a lie." Reed frowned. "And if you lose, you'll honor the payout?" "You have my word," Fisk replied evenly. Spidey smirked. "Honestly, I'd love to shut him up once and for all." Johnny grinned. "Come on, Reed. Let's wipe that smug smile off his face." Reed looked from one hero to another. "Anyone object to raising the stakes?" The room was silent. Fisk's mouth curved into a slow, knowing smile. "Then welcome to the table, Mr. Fisk," Reed said at last. The real game was about to begin. The idea of walking away with not just their money, but also their dignity, thrilled Fisk more than any business deal ever could. The room filled with murmurs as the heroes debated. Spider-Man admitted that for once, Fisk wasn't bluffing. His spider sense wasn't giving off even a flicker of warning. That meant the kingpin truly intended to play it straight. Reed, still cautious, wondered aloud if Fisk could really be trusted to honor the outcome. If he loses, he asked, will he actually let it go? Spider-Man leaned back in his chair. I don't know. I just think it'd be nice to finally stick it to him, once and for all. Johnny's eyes gleamed with fire. Come on, Reed. Let's wipe that smug grin right off his face. Reed scanned the table. Any objections? We either take the offer, or let him walk. No one spoke. The silence was answer enough. Fisk's grin widened. He had them hooked. Well then, Reed said with a reluctant sigh. Welcome to the game, Mr. Fisk. The real match began, not just a friendly gathering anymore, but a clash of heroes, rogues, and one crime lord, each now fighting over a mountain of cash. 7 players, $300,000, and a room thick with pride and tension. Dr. Strange leaned forward with confidence that bordered on arrogance. All in, he declared, pushing his entire pile of chips into the center. Seconds later, his self-assurance crumbled. He stared at the cards in front of him in disbelief. Spider-Man shook his head. Serious, all in on a pair of 3s. Worst gamble ever, especially against the guy with the biggest stack. Johnny wasn't as gentle. You've lost your mind, Doc. Reed announced the obvious. We've got our first casualty of the night. But Strange wasn't finished. With a snap of his fingers, a fresh stack of cash appeared before him. The thing frowned. That ain't real money. It is, Strange said, calmly. I just withdrew it in a more convenient way. By 9, however, the so-called Sorcerer Supreme had managed to dig himself even deeper into the hole. While the cards kept flying, Sue stepped out onto the balcony for some air, admiring the glittering skyline. Near the sofa, Angel and Felicia whispered in a hushed side conversation. At the table, the rest pressed on. Johnny mercilessly mocked Strange's repeated rebuys. You're like a magical ATM, he laughed. Except your withdrawal fees are huge. Spider-Man piled on, joking about Strange's bizarre decision. Folding on a full house. That's next-level strategy. You're lulling your enemies into a false sense of security. Right? Fisk finally had enough. Amazing, he muttered, shaking his head. 2 overgrown children, who somehow survive in a world run by adults. A miracle you even get your tights on straight in the morning. Spider-Man just grinned beneath his mask. I like being the kid in the room. Keeps me sharp. You wouldn't believe the stuff I've seen. Reed, ever the scientist, was curious. What's the strangest thing you've seen? Fisk answered before Spider-Man could. A class clown dressed as a spider. Spidey shot back instantly. Funny. I was gonna say a crime boss who thinks he's running a country club. Fisk smirked at the jab, but said nothing. Strange chimed in loftily. The mortal mind can barely grasp the truly bizarre, at least. Not as I can. The thing grunted. I've seen plenty of weird in my time. Have you? Strange countered. Ever witnessed the mating rituals of a 4-dimensional hyperfungus? Johnny, unfazed, shrugged. I once dated a trill. 8 genders. Things got complicated. Reed turned back to Spidey. All right. Your turn. Weirdest thing you've faced. Spider-Man tapped his chin, running through the rogues gallery in his mind. Honest, I've crossed paths with some pretty ridiculous villains. Then he snapped his fingers. Wait. There's one story that tops them all. The Marauders. He leaned forward as the table quieted. One night, I'm swinging through the back alleys behind the trophy club. Johnny couldn't resist cutting in. Oh yeah. They've got the best chicken wings. Spider-Man sighed. Really? Can I finish? Sorry. Go on. So anyway, I swing around near the National Instruments warehouse. Johnny piped up again. Hey, my buddy Phil works there. Spider-Man shot him a look. Dude. Whose story is this? Johnny raised his hands in surrender. My bad. Continue. Right. So I hear shout. Couple of low-rent thugs shaking down some poor guy, yelling about how angry they were. I dropped in, tossed out a quip or two, and reassured the victims I had things under control. He paused, his tone shifting slightly, but there was something about the whole scene that felt. The thugs barely fought back. They almost lined up to be hit. Spider-Man moved through them, with ease, landing clean punches, yet none of them even tried to block or dodge. It wasn't until he threw the last punch that he realized something strange. Their guns were carved out of wood. Before he could wrap his head around that, one of the supposed crooks actually grinned and asked, Hey, mind hitting me again? Spidey blinked. What? Come on. Just a quick tap, maybe upside the head, the man urged eagerly. Another thug, dressed in a tattered dress and heels, scolded him. Hey, we're not supposed to ask for it. Now thoroughly unsettled, Spider-Man held his hands up. Yeah, no. That's way too weird. The first guy didn't give up. He tugged his shirt collar aside to show off a purple bruise on his chest. Look, Captain America clocked me right here with his shield. Another chimed in proudly. Daredevil almost sat on me once. Almost. Came this close. It finally clicked. These weren't ordinary street punks. They were members of something calling itself the Masochist Marauders, a bizarre club whose greatest thrill in life was getting roughed up by costumed heroes. To make it worse, one even offered Spider-Man a free membership. The poker table roared with laughter as Spidey wrapped up the tale, shaking his head at the memory. As the night dragged on, the friendly tournament had been whittled down to just 3 players: Spider-Man, the Kingpin, and the Thing. Deciding this was his moment, the Thing shoved all his chips forward. All in. He turned over his cards, 3 sevens. A strong hand. Fisk calmly revealed his own. A flush. The Thing groaned, pushed his chair back, and was officially out. Now it was down to Spider-Man and Wilson Fisk. The Kingpin smirked, his eyes glinting with confidence. You've been lucky so far, wall crawler, but luck always runs out. He leaned forward, studying Peter carefully. I can read every twitch of your body language. I know exactly what you're holding. Spider-Man raised the bet by $500. Fisk cocked an eyebrow. A bluff. Or just a desperate move. The pot was now massive. Calm as ever, Fisk mused aloud. 2 pair, not higher than queens. I love this part. The real game. The moment where nerves break and character shows. He mocked Peter's supposed impatience. Then, with a shark-like smile, shoved his entire mountain of chips into the pot. All in. Go ahead, boy. Let's see if you've got the spine to call me. Every eye in the room fixed on the table. Peter hesitated, only briefly before sliding his whole stack forward. Let's dance. For a heartbeat the room went silent, until Fisk exploded with glee. Full house. Queens over 9s. I knew you didn't have the guts. You lose. He leaned back, smug as ever. Thank you all for the entertainment. I'll be sure to give my cigar dealer a generous tip. But Peter wasn't done. Slowly, deliberately, he laid his own cards down. Like I said, I've got 2 pair, 2 9s, and 2 more 9s. That's 4 of a kind. Read 'em and weep, big guy. The color drained from Fisk's face, his grin froze, then collapsed. He stared at the cards as if they were written in another language. It was over. Spider-Man casually raked the mountain of chips toward himself. Fisk sat rigid, seething, until his bodyguard stepped close in alarm. He waved them off with a deadly glare. Leave me alone, if you want to keep breathing. Dr. Strange leaned toward Johnny and whispered. So, who actually won? Johnny just grinned. Once Fisk stormed out, the tension in the room melted. Felicia Hardy playfully slid her phone number into Angel's palm, before heading out. Strange muttered about finally calling it a night. On the sofa, Johnny replayed the final moment in his mind, chuckling at the priceless expression on Fisk's face. Near the table, Reed and Sue calmly counted the piles of cash the crime lord had left behind. Peter walked over and quietly asked Reed for a favor. Send it to the Cerebral Palsy Research Foundation in Kansas. Reed nodded. Consider it done. A well-deserved win, Spider-Man, though I'm sure Mr. Fisk disagrees. Peter gave a wry shrug. Let him. I'm just glad I finally got to stick it to somebody. Seems like I'm the one getting stuck most days. He plucked a single $20 bill from the stack. I'll just keep this for cab fare. With that, he vaulted off the balcony into the cool New York night. Watching him swing away, Reed chuckled to himself. Gotta love being a hero. High above the skyline, Spider-Man swung between the glowing towers, a small bouquet tucked under one arm with a card for MJ.